Welcome to Subramani. Recently there was a event which happened in a known family. 48-year-old man had died of heart attack, and it looked pretty bad. So they came, and after about 3-4 months they came and they realized that there was a lot of debt, and lot of debt to be repaid, which included credit card loans and personal loans and things like that, which set me thinking, because as a family I knew them a little afar, but we knew that whenever they went, whether they went to Goa for a vacation or they went to Chennai to attend a wedding or anything like that, they were Bombay based, and they always flew in. They were driving a nice car, they were taking vacations, children were going to good schools. Actually, children had more or less finished schools, but they were still studying, and which set me thinking as to what happened. And I realized that a lot of small businessmen, see, when you are employed, your wife, maybe even your children know your exact pay packet. You know it is 89,642, period. Nothing changes. 1 or 2 rupees here or there, but that 90,000 rupees or 89,000 hits your bank every month. You know it will hit your bank every month. Maybe it is higher for you, whatever it is. You learn to live within that 89,000. Now what happens is, when you are doing business, you mix business and personal finances, because you think you're being very smart. You're going to claim this as an expense, so let me charge it to business. So there is huge confusion between what is your business expense and what is your personal expense, which is perfect if you're a good accountant. You know why you're doing what you're doing. When people don't know, then the business and credit transactions and all that mixed together becomes a mess for your accountant too. So if you are doing your own business, take a salary. Even if you're a sole proprietor, take a salary, which means on the first of every month, when you're paying everybody, pay yourself also by putting money into a separate savings bank account. And this, I'm assuming I'm talking to a man, and that account, the account into which you're putting, should be joint or either or survivor with your spouse, and she should be operating that account. You should also be, of course, operating that account. Maybe you have the ATM card which you use, all that's fine, but she should know how to pay the electricity bill, telephone bill, all those things. Here in this case was a woman who was about 42, 43, and educated, graduate, had no clue how much was the monthly telephone bill, how much was the monthly electricity bill, nothing. She had no clue. She could believe any figure from 2,000 to 20,000. That kind of complete lack of financial awareness, which brings me to the second point, that most businessmen have very poor cash flow management. They have no clue how much. I know people who say, oh, I'm going to Europe for a vacation and things like that, and I say, just hold on. Do you realize that you're pulling 10 lakhs out of your working capital? Can you afford it? And then they think about it, and then I say, no, I want you to separately make an RD, accumulate 10 lakhs and say, this is the money with which I am going, not pulling 8 lakhs or 10 lakhs out of your small business. If it's a big business, it's different. Then you're not pulling out 8 lakhs, then you're pulling out 80 lakhs, right? So that's a problem. So create a cash flow forecast for the company, track inflows, check outflows regularly, maintain a proper cash reserve for emergencies, business emergencies, personal emergencies. It could be the same amount of money in a bank fixed deposit, in your personal name, or in a liquid fund, whatever you want to hold it, that's fine. But create that emergency reserve. Have a budget both for your family life, that's your personal life, and for your business. Many businessmen run their businesses without making a budget. This is very, of course, running your personal life without a budget is okay if all your goals have been met, etc. You have reached that situation. If you have not reached the situation and you're struggling to make ends meet, you need a personal budget also. So operating without a budget will definitely lead to overspending, misallocation, spending on wrong things, making it hard to prioritize for your expenses or even for planning for your growth of your business, right? So develop a detailed budget that includes fixed costs, variable costs, etc., and review it on a monthly, quarterly basis, right? Involve your wife in the family budget and involve your partner, whoever it is in your business. If your business does not have any partner, involve your children, involve your wife, involve somebody to make sure that all that you're doing in your business, you're also copying in your personal life, right? So another thing which I notice is underpricing products or services. They just refuse to raise prices because they say, oh, my client will go away to a competitor. So setting prices too low to attract customers erodes profit margin, making it unsustainable to cover costs or reinvest in the business. Another thing which I find good engineers do is when they are given a big problem to solve by some big PSU, right? Let's say BHEL or somebody like that. Then they put their heart and soul into it for one whole month and develop a solution without even knowing whether they are going to be paid for it, right? So don't do that. Make sure that your time gets billed and your time gets paid for. If somebody wants a free sample, ask them to go take a walk, right? Unless it's so big, unless they're at least promising you, if you make this product at 30 rupees, I will buy it. If you make this product at 100 rupees, I will not buy it. I'm trying to replace my 40 rupee product with a 30 rupee product. Don't give me a 100 rupee solution for a 40 rupee product. Talk this, tell your client, I will develop this product, I'm doing development work on this, I'm not taking an advance, but I need to know that you have the capacity and need to buy it at 30 rupees. Be very clear in your financial communication. So don't underprice and don't communicate finances very badly. Same parallelly, make sure that your family knows where you stand. Your family should not think of you as a very poor person, nor does it need to think of you as a very rich person and blow all the money. So they need to know where you stand, what you can afford, what you can't afford. Yes, you took them on a vacation to see Disneyland, but it does not mean you can afford a 2 crore MBA in US. So tell them that, or say, yeah, I have 50 crores, so I don't have a problem. You don't have to go to anybody and borrow. I will fund your education. Say that. Communicate. Financial communication within the office and financial communication at home, both are important. Another thing which non-accountants, businessmen do is completely ignore bookkeeping and accounting, thinking it doesn't matter. Today it does matter, because if your turnover exceeds 20 lakhs, you have to pay GST, which is on a quarterly basis. So you need to have some semblance of accounting, knowing how much is your total sales, right? So when you know your total sales, you also know your net profit or something for the month, and then track that. Anyway, you're taking a salary, which I said, 20,000, 25,000, 50,000, 1 lakh, whatever. But you know that much of cash flow is coming out of your business into your personal life. In case you want to bring it back, that's fine, but then make sure that you borrow from your wife or somebody like that, so that you realize it's a loan and not just the proprietor's money coming back, right? So neglecting accurate record keeping can be very bad for your accountant and for your income tax return filing also. So use accounting software. Lot of software is available, and make sure that you do that. Even your personal financial goals and all, there are tools available, use it. Taking on too much debt, not even realizing that the interest costs are so high. So this person who died recently, not so recent, maybe 6-7 months back, was in a financial mess. He didn't know that he was in a financial mess. He was just borrowing from Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. So he had credit cards running, he had personal bank loans running. Wife had no clue, family had no clue that they were living way beyond their means, right from the size of TV to the model of the car to the annual vacations they were taking. The family had no clue about the debt that was there in his life. Obviously he did not have adequate term insurance, so a lot of that debt had to be paid by selling off the assets. It was not a very pleasant sight, right? Another thing which people forget is planning for taxes. When you earn 100 rupees, only 70 belongs to you. Just assume that 30 rupees is gone in taxes. So take some money out of your bank account and start paying advance tax, right? I also see a lot of people overspending on non-essential expenses. I mean, to each his own, but largely if it is not part of your budget and it is not prioritized, then it should not be spent, right? So investing heavily in a flashy office, excessive marketing, some unnecessary equipment, cars and people. You can buy a car and maybe not use it, but when you hire somebody, you will have to pay that person. Provident fund, etc., tea, coffee, the consumption in the office, everything you have to take into account while recruiting. So be careful about being too flashy-eyed. Not having an emergency fund, in this case I found out that it did not have an emergency fund, and the short term liabilities were far greater than the long term assets also. So the house had to be sold and they relocated to a cheaper location using a big chunk of this money to, yes, of course some part went to buy a new house, but a large part went to clear debt. Know which are the key matrices to monitor, right? So whether your company is doing well, look at the financial ratios, look at all of them on a regular basis. Every month, if you have your P&L and balance sheet, you will know what I am talking about, right? So ignoring things like margins and even break-even point, or wondering how customer satisfaction is more important, that's all fine. But is the customer also thinking that you are an important vendor or no? Look for all that, right? Then so that because you're looking at all that, the chances are your decisions are data driven and not emotion driven. Chasing another thing which I found, especially with engineers, is chasing every product idea which some mentor or some client gives, and then spending money on completely unproven ventures or diversifying too quickly into and dilute resources, right? So don't do that. If you have a business opportunity, validate it with friends, relatives, somebody, and then only start doing it. Another mistake I see is not investing in marketing. It costs a lot of money, yes, but it works wonders. When it works wonders. Hiring too many people, hiring too quickly, not knowing how to fire them is another small business's problem. Not negotiating well with the suppliers, not understanding the payment terms. When the client says, I will pay in 7 days, he'll pay in 7 days after you present the bill and go and make sure that all the details are available. So maybe you did the work on such a date, then you build and you start chasing, right? If you don't do that, again, it's going to lead to cash flow problems. These are some of the things which I have noticed, and in case you have noticed more, please write in the comments column. Thank you.